What if the United States had lost the Revolutionary War? What if the colonies never broke free from British rule and the United States, as we know it, never came to be? It's hard to imagine, given how deeply America's independence shaped not just its own borders, but the entire global order. In this speculative dive into history, we'll explore what could have happened if the British had emerged victorious in the Revolutionary War. Stick around as we unravel this fascinating what-if scenario. And don't forget to share your own theories in the comments. They might just reshape the conversation. The American Revolutionary War was more than a fight for independence. It was a battle of ideas, ideals, and historical momentum. By the late 18th century, tensions between Great Britain and its colonies in North America had reached an explosive level. The colonies protested heavy taxation, lack of representation in Parliament, and an overarching desire to govern themselves. After years of disputes, the first shots rang out in 1775, launching the war that would lead to the birth of the United States. But what if things had gone differently? What if Britain's superior military and naval power had crushed the revolutionaries? A loss by George Washington and his troops would have led to a drastically different path for not only North America, but the entire world. So let's imagine what comes next. If the Revolutionary War had ended with a British victory, the 13 colonies would have remained under tight British control. At first, this might have brought greater military presence and harsher governance as Britain reasserted its authority. However, the key question is, would the colonies have remained unified or eventually fragmented under British rule? Britain would likely have imposed concessions to stave off further rebellion. They might have structured the colonies similarly to Canada, operating under a Commonwealth framework. This could have allowed for some local autonomy without granting full independence. The economic landscape would also have been very different. Without independence, the colonies would have continued to operate under restrictive British trade policies. Britain's mercantilist system would have ensured that the colonies traded primarily with Britain, likely stunting their economic diversification and industrial growth. Would westward expansion, a foundation of the United States, have occurred under British rule? Perhaps, but likely under stricter conditions. Britain's Treaty of Proclamation in 1763, which limited westward settlement to avoid conflict with indigenous tribes, may have been enforced more rigidly had the colonies not gained independence. Expansion into territory controlled by Spain or France could also have been heavily restricted, preventing the vast territorial growth that defined the United States. Additionally, the lack of independence may have led to less unity among the colonies. With no shared vision of manifest destiny or urgency to expand westward, the North American landmass may have ended up fractured further. Could separate colonies, still under British control, have evolved into independent states like Canada and Australia? Or would British dominance have led to a stagnant North America? Culturally, a British-controlled America might not have formed the unique identity we associate with the United States today. The diverse, outspoken melting pot we know may have been tempered under British influence. American English, distinct from British English, may never have developed, leaving the region with closer linguistic and cultural ties to the mother country. Other societal shifts, like the eventual abolition of slavery, might have occurred differently. Britain abolished slavery across its empire in 1833, years before the United States did. A British-controlled America might have followed suit earlier, preventing the Civil War but delaying civil rights progress in other ways. A triumphant British Empire retaining control over the American colonies would likely have altered the course of global events. Britain may have emerged as an even stronger superpower, unburdened by the financial losses of the Revolutionary War and buoyed by vast colonial resources. Would this have led to a swifter decline of competing empires, like France or Spain, in the Americas? Or would Britain's dominance have provoked more significant backlash from its European rivals? The French Revolution might have been delayed or altered altogether without inspiration or support from a free United States. Moreover, the balance of power during both world wars would likely have shifted. Without a strong independent United States to tip the scale, Britain may have struggled against adversaries like Germany. Alternatively, the united strength of Britain and its colonies might have created an even stronger allied force, ending these wars faster. The American Revolution had ripple effects beyond its borders, fueling countless uprisings and independence movements. Without it, would democratic ideals have spread across the globe as they did? Movements like the French Revolution, which borrowed from the ideologies of the American Revolution, might not have gained steam as they did historically. Latin American revolutions, too, may have taken longer or followed a different trajectory. The very idea of self-governance and democratic freedom may have remained suppressed under imperial control for decades longer. This brings up an interesting question. Could reform within the British Empire itself have instead become the primary avenue for global democratic progress? Perhaps Britain's governance methods would have evolved to reflect the growing power and influence of its vast colonies, including those in North America. The United States revolutionized the world with its rapid industrial growth and technological advancements. But would this development have occurred under continued British rule? Possibly, but not in the same way. Britain's economic priorities may have led to a focus on resource extraction and trade in the colonies, rather than fostering local industrial infrastructure. This might have stifled innovation, setting the stage for British leadership in technology while leaving North America as a secondary player. On the other hand, collaboration between Britain and its colonies might have created a different kind of superpower, one built on shared innovation and global reach. The Industrial Revolution could have taken on an entirely different shape, with power centers scattered across the empire rather than concentrated in the United States. The absence of US independence would have had a profound effect on key historical events. During World War I, the British Empire might have had access to a stronger colonial military force, potentially altering the course of the war. However, without America's entry into the conflict, could the Central Powers have emerged victoriously? Similarly, World War II's outcome might have looked drastically different. Without the industrial and military might of an independent United States, the Allied effort could have faced greater struggles. Or conversely, a unified British Empire with its American colonies might have presented a stronger force than we can imagine today. The Cold War, too, would have been entirely different without the United States as a world superpower. Perhaps Britain and the Soviet Union would have taken center stage instead, fundamentally altering the ideological landscape of the 20th century. The implications of Britain retaining the American colonies also extend to its other territories. Canada's path to independence may have been delayed or prevented altogether. Without American influence to the south, Canada might have remained a more integral part of the British Empire much longer. Meanwhile, Latin America's wars of independence, inspired in part by the success of the American Revolution, could have taken a different turn. A stronger British presence in the Americas might have disrupted Spain's colonial dominance, altering the timeline and nature of independence movements across the region. Globally, the absence of an independent United States would have allowed Britain to reshape geopolitical alliances and redistribute power in ways difficult to predict, but fascinating to consider. Ultimately, the status of the world today would be unrecognizable if the United States had lost the Revolutionary War. From borders to ideology, from economy to culture, Britain's continued dominance over the American colonies would have shaped every aspect of history differently. So what do you think? Would the colonies have eventually gained independence in a different way? Could Britain have effectively governed such a vast territory in the long term? And how might the absence of an independent United States have changed your life today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We can't wait to hear your take on this alternate timeline. If you found this speculative dive into history fascinating, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking what-if explorations. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Your engagement helps us continue to imagine the endless possibilities of alternate history. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.